Good morning and welcome to the show. It is Medical Monday, and normally in the seat we would have Dr. Roman Nation from Nation's Best Family Healthcare, but right now we have his nurse practitioner, or one of his nurse practitioners, Kim Bruni, in the studio today. Kim, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's nice to meet you. You know, nurse practitioner, that's it's kind of a big title. You're a little more than a nurse, I suppose, but. And I say this with due respect, a little less than a doctor.
Yes.
What exactly is a nurse practitioner?
Okay. Well, I was actually an RN for many years before I went to get my nurse practitioner degree. But most nurses start out, either a 2-year or 4-year program. And I obtained my Bachelor of Science for 4 years. And then then I worked as a nurse for many years. But they do want you to have some experience. It is helpful to have some experience working as a nurse before you go on to get your master's and get your nurse practitioner degree.
So you really have to be in the field. You don't have to be. I suppose you could probably go right through the pipeline.
You can.
But it's always better to have that practical experience
it is.
behind you.
Yes.
So if, do you, and this is a silly layman question here, but do you have to be super smart or just a good student? I mean, what advice would you give a young person today who might be considering going into nursing?
Yeah, well, it's a great field to get into. I mean, you can always, find a job. So that's
true.
Very
There's a
important.
large demand
yes.
for
there is.
nurses
yes,
and
there is.
medical people in general.
You don't have to be a genius, but you have to be dedicated, I think, to studying. Because it does take, some work.
Yeah.
It's not, for someone that just kind of wants to get by and skim through, but yeah, you do have to study.
Yeah. I know just working with young people, and I'd been a scoutmaster and I'd been involved in Civil Air Patrol, and we did all that stuff with the kids when they were growing up. It's easy to say, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a nurse, or I want to be a brain surgeon, or whatever. It's easy to say, but when you look at what's entailed in getting to that goal, you really got to go in with your eyes open, don't you?
You do. Yes, you do. But it's a great field to get into.
So there's I would imagine, science heavy, fair degree of math, lots of chemistry.
Yes.
I know, and you might have heard, my son is at the Naval Academy.
Yes, I heard that.
And they all have to go through chemistry, and they call chem the plebe killer. So if you don't have an aptitude for it, you might want to rethink it. I mean, but you could always learn it, I suppose.
You can, yeah. I mean, like I said, it takes dedication, but organic chemistry was the worst. So, yeah.
Was it really?
Yes. Yes, it was very tough. Very tough subject.
But you got through it.
I did.
And you studied hard, and here you are today, nurse practitioner. Now, a nurse practitioner, what are the limits of your, I guess, authority when it comes to treating a patient? I mean, can you do surgery? Can you prescribe meds? I mean, what can you do that's...
Well, as a nurse practitioner, I mean, I can prescribe medication. We diagnose, we treat, we can, order different therapies, for patients. As far as like any surgery, actually, my training didn't include a lot of surgical, training, but I think a lot of the PAs, they have a different set of courses that they go through in their training. So theirs is a little bit different, and they do get to go through surgical rotation.
So if I slice my finger open cutting eggplant, which I actually did, and I need a stitch, you could help me out, I guess, in a pinch?
I could, yes.
Because I had to sit in the emergency room and wait.
Oh, gosh.
I was like, give me a needle and thread. I'll do it myself. It'll only take 2 stitches. But they might have given me some glue or something, and, they kind of put it back together that way, which was kind of weird. I mean, like, I could have done that too. I had the glue. But there's so much more to it, I suppose.
Yes.
Now, you're working at Nation's Best Family Healthcare. They have 2 locations, one in Lynn Haven, another one out here on the beach now.
That's right.
And McElvey Drive, is
exactly.
it? And now, which one are you at? Are you at both?
I'm at both.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, the providers, the healthcare providers, all rotate, and we are at each office.
Well, that's good. So whether you're on the beach or in town, and we like seeing you rather than the doctor, I mean, we can do that, right?
Sure, definitely.
That's awesome stuff. I do want to talk more about your practice, what you do for Dr. Nation over there, and what's going around. There's a lot of people sneezing, coughing. I mean,
Yes.
What's up with that? We're going to run off to the local weather, but on the other
Okay.
side of that, we're going to find out about the disease of the week. We'll be right back after your Waking Up with Don weather. Welcome back to the show. I'm speaking with Kim Bruni from Nation's Best Family Healthcare in Panama City, out on the beach, and up in Lynn Haven, too.
Yes.
Now, you are a nurse practitioner, and I know I asked you some really bush league questions about, what you do and the types of things that nurse practitioners do and how you get there. But here you are day to day working at Dr. Nation's practice. What's going around? I'm seeing a lot of people like sneezing, coughing, flu season, sinus season. What is it?
It is. It is flu season. I think we're getting out of that a little bit right now, but a few weeks ago we saw a lot of cases of the flu, bronchitis.
And which always amazes me, because everyone's like, get your flu shot every year, and people still get the flu.
I know.
Now, the flu shot, I guess, is not 100%, is it?
No, it is not.
So even if you get the shot, you may still get the flu,
Yes.
but your chances are greatly reduced of getting the flu
They
if
are.
you do get the
They
flu
are.
shot.
And you might not have it as a severe case either, if you get the flu shot.
So you could actually have a touch of the flu instead of the full blown. But it's a clinical term.
Yeah.
Clinical term I just made up, a touch of the flu. But so the sinuses as well.
Sinus, it is actually pretty bad right now.
Yeah.
So
why is that? Is it because things are dry and cold, or
I think
dust
a
is
lot of it
getting
is
blown
the
up, or-
allergy, the pollen, I think is really bad right now. So that is affecting a lot of people's sinuses. So they're having a lot of sinus headaches, the nasal congestion. So I have seen quite a bit of that too.
Yeah. That's when we talk about the flu shot, and I don't want to put you on a spot, but there are some people out there that just don't like shots. People don't like getting a needle.
That's true.
I mean,
That's true.
And there's also a whole bunch of other folks that don't like vaccinations or any kind of shots because they think it's hurtful to you. When you get a flu shot, do they give you a little bit of the hair of the dog? I mean, can you catch the flu from a flu shot?
No.
Not anymore.
No.
Yeah, and that's a common misconception, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. The only thing that you might have with the flu shot, some people do feel a little achy, you might have a little redness from the injection site, a little soreness in the arm from, where it's given, but other than that, I mean, it doesn't cause the flu.
It is harmless. And what about vaccinations? I know that for a while there was a lot of controversy over whether or not little children and babies should get their vaccinations as scheduled, particularly the MMR, I think was somewhat controversial because some people think it caused autism and all other neurological things. And I guess the final word is out now that no, it doesn't cause anything like that.
No, I kind of think that, the patients should, bring their kids in and, get vaccinated. So, I mean, it is important.
I know there was a doctor in England who wrote a paper, this Dr. Wakefield, I think his name was, wrote a paper, and I guess it was whatever journal they have out there in Britain. And he basically, it took his license away, he was discredited, but still that myth of vaccinations causing autism lives on.
It does.
For a lot of people. And I think it's kind of, I don't know, it's coincidental actually that, when little kids are getting their shots, their boosters and all, it's about the same time autism starts to present itself.
That's true.
So, take it slow, I suppose, would be good advice. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I don't think there's any clear evidence that it actually, has caused autism yet. But there's suspicion, but, there's no true facts.
Yeah, and it's a highly emotionally charged issue for a lot of people.
It is.
I mean, there's nothing more precious to us than our children.
That's true.
And if you think you're putting them at risk, don't do it. But just like you wear a seatbelt or a child seat,
yes,
you probably need to get your kid vaccinated, don't you?
Exactly.
I would think so, too.
It's definitely a preventative measure.
So, quick advice in the 30 seconds we have left. How do we stay healthy?
Eat right, exercise, yeah.
And stay away from sick people.
Exactly. Stay away from people that are sick. Go see your doctor, make your appointments, follow up, especially if you have any chronic medical diseases you need to get in,
And take your meds.
Yes, and take your medicine. Yeah. That's very important.
Kim Bruni, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And letting our audience get acquainted with you. Nation's best family healthcare. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Aaron Shore from Spine and Neuro Pain Specialists here in Panama City and in Chipley.
Correct.
Welcome back, sir. Good
Thank
to
you.
see you.
Appreciate it.
You know, I've often wondered when people go for pain treatment or if they have chronic pain, you're probably like a last resort for a lot of folks. I would imagine that people would try to treat themselves like, oh, I got a headache, you take an aspirin. I got joint pain, maybe some ibuprofen or something over the counter. You do find that's common?
Yeah, I think a lot of folks try to, treat it themselves if they can over the counter and hope that it goes away. And some folks, I think, are lucky enough that that happens, but unfortunately, not everyone.
Mm-hmm. And what do you do for those people? And do you see people abuse that? Is there a danger in treating yourself?
Well, I think so in some instances.
I mean, that's kind of a bush league question. I know, is there a danger? I don't recommend people taking out their own appendix or anything.
Right.
But if you've got like chronic joint pain and you're managing it with ibuprofen, are you just masking a symptom that might have an underlying cause, or is that okay?
Well, in some conditions, it can be okay. In some conditions, it may not be. I think the one thing that I find in my practice that I think sometimes folks don't always understand is that even though these medications are over the counter and you don't need a prescription to get them, they sometimes can have some very serious side effects. So I sometimes will have folks come in who've tried to treat it themselves, and instead of taking one over-the-counter Advil 3 times a day, as it says on the bottle, they're taking 8 or 10 or 15 or more. So I sometimes have to share with folks if 2 or 3 isn't working, 10's not better.
And just layman logic, it's just like, well, if 2 cuts the pain a little bit, 4 would get rid of it altogether.
Well, I think that's sometimes the logic, but I think a lot of times once you start taking things not as prescribed, oftentimes there are some pretty serious and significant side effects that can happen. Now, not everybody gets those side effects, but when folks are combining over-the-counter drugs or taking dosages that are far higher than recommended, particularly with anti-inflammatories, they can cause some pretty serious damage to the stomach, the kidneys, the liver. They can increase your risk of bleeding and other things as well. So even though they're over the counter, they're not completely benign.
Can you envision a scenario where somebody could actually take Tylenol and aspirin at the same time? I've heard of people doing that.
Yeah, and I have people come to see me, pretty regularly that are doing that. They're taking, pretty high dosages of Tylenol with some sort of over-the-counter anti-inflammatory, whether it's an aspirin or ibuprofen or Doan's powders or BC powders, in an effort to try to control their pain so they can keep going or keep working or doing whatever they need to do. It's just sometimes we need to consider other options and just remind folks that, we have to be careful of the side effects so we first do no harm.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Now, what about supplements? I know some people who want to treat themselves will go to a health food store and, get some shark fin or something.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? And try and treat their joint pain with that. Do those type of, folk remedies have an interaction with drugs? I mean, can they interfere with the treatments you might be giving them?
Yeah, in some instances they certainly can. There are some over-the-counter supplements that, depending on which ailment you're trying to treat, are completely safe and fine. But I also find that sometimes there are folks that are taking high dosages of Tylenol or over-the-counter anti-inflammatories and also taking an herbal supplement in the hopes of an alternative treatment will help. But there are many instances where those alternative substances or the herbs or vitamins or whatever folks are taking also have a very similar mechanism of action as the anti-inflammatory that they're taking. And that can kind of, again, cause additive side effects to the regimen they're taking and actually cause, again, some problems. So it's always important to make sure you're having that discussion excuse me, with your doctor so that to make sure the side effects are appropriate for you.
I think there's a tendency among people, among the masses, when they have perhaps a famous doctor on TV, maybe somebody more famous than you, who's got the disease of the week and the folk cure to do it, and maybe there's a special bean or a special supplement, and there's a trend, and you see these trendy treatments. I remember back in the day, DMSO was a big deal. It was an industrial solvent that people were rubbing on their joints. You don't hear about that anymore, do you?
Yeah, you don't hear about DMSO as much as you used to, and it's not that the stuff that people hear on TV is not accurate. I mean, the folks that are sharing this information with the public are hopefully trying to do a good service. what I always recommend is if you're not sure, it's always important to discuss it with your physician, because again, some of these over-the-counter supplements are not safe in everybody, and you want to make sure that you always do what's safe for you so that you get better and improve.
So one size does not fit all.
Correct.
So, beyond reading the label, you probably should talk to your physician before you start self-medicating.
Absolutely.
Dr. Aaron Shores, thanks so much for coming on the show again and getting us smart on pain management and over-the-counter medication.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Here I am in my street clothes, all relaxed here with Randy Aiken from 5L Fitness, who's going to help get the blood flowing here on a Monday morning. Randy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Don.
It's so great to have you as part of the show now. Now you're going to be a regular Monday morning guest here on the Waking Up with Don show.
I'm excited about it as well.
Yeah, and you're going to keep it. Now, you're a fit guy, obviously.
Well, yeah, we'll call it that.
You're young, you work out, but you're also an instructor, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I own a company called 5L Fitness, and what we do is kind of take some of the stigma out of personal training and make it more relatable, making it more personable. And the 5L stand for lift, live, love, learn, and laugh. And those are things that I just think that people don't do enough of.
That's right. I mean, the first L is intimidating to some people.
Definitely, yeah.
And for a lot of people, it's, walking into that gym is like, oh, I got to deal with all these muscle heads and stuff.
That's true.
5L is not like that.
Not like that at all. And, you say walking into a gym, but the first L could be lifting yourself off of the ground or wherever you want to train at. So,
or lifting your physical appearance to a higher standard.
That's it. That's it. I like that. Yeah,
which
definitely.
I'm all about because I'm a very vain person. But besides
you
that,
you look good. Yeah.
It's better to look good than it is to feel good.
That's true sometimes.
But if someone wants to get in touch with you or they want to avail themselves of your services, what can they do?
They can reach me at www.5lfitness.com or 5lfitnesspc@gmail.com.
Okay, 5lfitness.com. And what you're going to do now, I guess, is maybe in the next segment, get our audience ready for the week.
It's Monday morning, right?
It's Monday morning. We got to stretch. We got to get the blood flowing. We got to get going.
That's it.
All right, Randy, let's get them charged up right after these messages.
Welcome back, guys. I'm Randy, your Waking Up with Don trainer. Let's go ahead and get some blood flowing and start your Monday workout. Today, we're going to start by warming up, and then we're going to do some squats. We'll focus on that one movement, and each week I'll try to give you a different movement, and as we progress, I'll show you multiple movements that we can do in a row to get that week started right. So first of all, let's start by doing some side shuffles to warm up. So just go ahead and give me a couple side to side. Just waking up. It's best to do this as soon as you get out of the bed, okay? That way you can go ahead and get your day started. And the blood's flowing, your mind's working, everything's working. From here, we'll switch to high knees to the side. And we're just doing this because you don't want to work or stretch cold muscles. So we'll get some blood flowing to them, and then we'll get to work. Hopefully no one's tired yet. Okay, from here, we'll go ahead and start the squat. The squat, you're going to start with your feet, and then we work our way up. So your feet should be shoulder width apart. Your hips, knees, and toes are in alignment. And then as you sit down, put your hands out for balance and back up. That's one rep. Everybody got it? All right, let's go to 20. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's one set of squats. The next round we're going to do slightly different. We're going to hold a static squat. If you can't go down quite as low as I can, no problem. Do the best you can and we'll try to progress you week by week. Okay? So for the static squat, we hold the down position until I say up. So all the way down, when I say up, we're ready to go. All right, you ready? Down. Up, that's 1. Down. Up, that's 2. Down. Up, 3. Down. Up, 4. One more. Down. and up. 5. All right, guys. Hopefully we got some blood flowing. Your legs may be a little bit sore if you're not used to this kind of activity. If you want more info about 5L Fitness, www.5lfitness.com. And you can always come and visit us at Impact Fitness, 5420 Hickory Street, Panama City, Florida. Thank you.